And how is this working? Yeah. Yeah, it came up because Streamlabs sucks. No, there was no schedule. Anyway, I'm live right now, but I don't have my fucking streaming shit. So I can't even like show charts. So it's goofy shit. Well, at least you can fucking see me. I gotta stop cussing, I guess. Loud and clear. How do I make you a moderator? How do I make you a moderator? Yeah. I'm so pissed right now. This is so stupid. I'm so absolutely fucking pissed. Ugh. Hi, Amber. Okay, I'm gonna make you a moderator. There we go. Can manage blocked words. Yeah, you're a managing moderator, Amber. Hooray. Well, isn't this goddamn lovely? I don't have my fucking streaming software working. I've been messing with this shit for 30 goddamn minutes, and I'm absolutely livid. I'm like Veruca goddamn Salt right now. I want it now. I'm so upset because I should be able to see Solar Fire here. I should be able to show you guys your charts. But now you're not going to be able to see it. So I'll have to describe it to you. So, oh my fucking God. I'm so pissed. Well, I guess let me tell people, hello. I'm sorry. I'm in a very bad mood now because this was 30 minutes of excruciating nonsense. And I'm a baby. I'm a whiner. Okay, I'm live now, period. I've been tortured by streaming software for 30 fucking minutes, period. And I never got it working. I didn't get it working. It's still not working, and I don't know why. And I have to figure that out. See, it was working before. Everything was just working fine, Anyway, hello. We got Ariel. Kiss the girl. Sorry. Just thought it made me think of Little Mermaid. So, sha-na-na-na-na-na, my oh my. Da-da-da. All right. Kiss the girl. Kiss the girl. Oh my gosh, I've been going through date after date lately. It's like, Jesus. I'd like to meet someone, but it's also fun. So let's see. We've got Ariel. Sorry, it's like Sebastian the Crab. Davenport. Oh wait, no, that's Trinissa. I'm looking at the wrong goddamn line. I hate Solar Fire. Ariel. Okay, August the 3rd, 1983. That's the same year I was born. Ariel. Okay. Yeah, this shit's confusing. And I have a Taurus Mercury retrograde. So I'm not the most, and I hate having my hair down. I really do. It's nasty, ugly stuff. August 3rd, 1993, 9:26 p.m. 9:26 p.m. in the city of Santa Monica. Keep me rocking in the city, Santa Monica. I know that's not the song. That's what they were doing on South Park to make fun of it, So whatever. Anywho, let's see what your shit says. I'm gonna set like a timer for each of these so we don't spend more than like. Oh, and by the way, this is why I wanted my streaming software. I wanted to have my website shit up. And I really like donations. So this time I'm doing this like just totally free again. But I'd like to dedicate like 10 good minutes to each person and then like ask for a $5 donation. And I think that's totally reasonable. But so I'd like to do that next time. So, but for now, when y'all can't see the shit, I'll just I'll say it out loud. God damn it. It's just like, here, I'll pull it up on my phone. Does it show up here? Oh, it's backwards. It's paypal.me/Frank Fortune's Fool. My name is Frankie, legally, but I set that up before I legally changed my name. So anyway. Oh yeah, please like the goddamn stream. Like, please. I'm not doing shit until y'all like the stream. There's 9 people here. There should be 9 likes. Should be 9. 9. 9. Let's go 9. Please. Por favor. Okay. It's really reasonable. Okay. Let's go. I sound German. My whole family's Irish. But I was born in California, so I don't know why I sound German. I don't know why I sound German. I will do the people's work. Oh, God. No, it's just Arnold impressions. I will bring business back to California. Hey, please like the stream. Who's here not liking shit? Like, come on. I sound German? 9 is German for no. Oh, no, I wasn't saying 9. Anyway. All right. So we got Ariel. Ariel, you're a Pisces rising. Sweetheart, that's wonderful. That means you have Saturn transiting your first house right now. You know? Ooh, please like the stream. So you have Saturn transiting your first house right now, which is so much fun. I'm going to set a timer here. So the reason why I went in that whole thing about donations is because I'm going to set a timer for 10 minutes. So I don't go more than 10 minutes per person. I wanted to start this shit at 6 p.m. my time. And Mercury retrograde had other ideas. Okay. So Ariel, you're going to have Saturn going through your first house until 2026. So settle in. Ooh, thank you all for liking the stream. So strap in because life will feel like a strap on. When Saturn goes through your first house, I mean, it's come out of your 12th house, right? And the 12th house Saturns, this is the Saturn cycle. We go through this. It's like a whole, I don't know how much I can cuss on here, but it's like a whole metamorphosis thing. It's like a whole butterfly bullshit, right? So in the 12th house, we're totally isolated. We even get taken out of regular life and shoved into, imposed seclusion of some sort. Like, for me, I was going through divorce. I moved in with friends and all this stuff. I'm not saying you're having the same instance or the same sort of experience, but you're coming out of that sense of isolation of having been perhaps wrapped in your little psychological cocoon and then going into the first house where it's like an agonizing reappraisal of who you are, right? I came out as trans when Saturn was going through my first house. Oftentimes we face questions of, yes, identity, our appearance changes. Sometimes we lose weight, very literally. But the bigger thing is facing the idea of our own mortality. That's the scary thing, especially now. We're both 40. You just turned 40. I just turned 40 in May. This is the point in life where we're starting to think like, oh my gosh, I'm not really young anymore. Although, forever young. I want to be forever young. Do you really want to live forever? Forever. Anyway, you see what I'm saying? Like it's all state of mind kind of thing. But we face questions of our own mortality. It really starts to feel real. Our hips start hurting, right? Our eyes get Thank you for liking the stream. Like the stream. You know, our eyes get dull. Our ears start going. We just we don't have the same energy anymore. So we start to feel older here, and we start to contemplate death. You know, like the Barbie movie, or like the story of my mama Inanna, right? And there's the descent into the underworld. Anyway, so strap in for that. And it's really a great transit because you're a completely different person by the time it's done, you know. Now, the other stuff you've got going on, I mean, I'm not talking a lot about natal stuff right now for sure. I'm talking about transits and horoscopes and stuff. Okay, that's why I'm not going to like, oh, look at your first house ruler in the 10th house. Up there in domicile. I tell you what, Bobby, that boy ain't right. It's like you got a problem with concentration. I don't know why I went off on that. You know, I took my medicine before I got on. You know, my natural herbal medicine. Oh, and you got a Cancer, Mars, fun. Anyway, so Mars has gone into your 8th house. So please watch out. Please watch out. Keep your credit card away. Lock it up in your drawer or cut it up because you're going to, you know what might happen is you're going to have a big unexpected expenditure quite typically. When Mars goes into this house, when I had Mars in my 8th house, I had a very large credit card bill, a very, very large credit card bill. So just please, you might not be expecting some of these expenditures that happen. So do not be liberal whatsoever with your cash. Okay? This is all about taking care of your finances. What else is going on? Where's Jupiter? Oh, Taurus. So your 3rd house is Taurus, which means Jupiter just went retrograde in your 3rd house. This is quite fun. You know, Jupiter going through our 3rd house is wonderful if we're trying to go to school, if we're learning something, or, you know, at work, if we're being involved in writing or speaking projects. The other thing I see in the 3rd house, at least for me, is content creation, right? So producing things. That's why I say writing and speaking projects and stuff like that. But also, you know, learning new stuff. It's typically, you know, Jupiter's the teacher. The 3rd house can be associated with education. And a side note of that, your siblings or extended family could have good luck. But right now, while Jupiter's retrograde, Jupiter also rules what? Oh, your 1st house, right? So, so you may have some issues with extended family stressing you out, you know, so just watch out for that. You're probably going to want to focus on career because Jupiter rules your 10th house too. But we should move on to someone else. So we really should. Oh, Mercury's, you're a Virgo Mercury. That's lovely. But you're also a Virgo Venus and she's stationed retrograde. That's not as lovely. I mean, I love Virgo Venus. I think they're the best partners. I think 2 of the best girlfriends or I shouldn't say it like that, but the nicest ones to me, the ones who treated me the nicest, were both Virgo Venus, and they were both 5 years older than me, with Pluto square my Venus. So, but for me, it didn't feel normal. Like when people were treating me well, it didn't feel normal, so that didn't last long, and I would end up with abusive people for years. Anyway, so the Virgo Venus isn't necessarily fun. She rules the 8th, and whereas Taurus the 3rd. I mean, the thing about a 7th house Venus, though, is it can get codependent. Virgo Venus, anyway. I mean, to me, it's like the submissive, like the par excellence submissive. I mean, I love submissive partners. I love Virgo Venus partners, especially when it's sextile my Cancer Venus. Because Virgo Venus likes to be taken care of, and Cancer Venus likes to take care of people. Cancer Mars is sort of a whiny bitch, though, isn't it? Like, you know, the memes with like the dude crying or whatever. Anyway, I should move on to someone else. I really should. But Mars left your 7th house. So you may have had a breakup. You may have had some sort of conflict or schism with a lover or partner or something. Or perhaps it was a legal affair. I mean, it could be a legal affair with an ex or custody stuff or whatever, but usually it's a breakup. Usually it's conflicts with a current lover. And the cool thing about this is then Mercury retrograde is sort of going back and cleaning up a lot of that shit. So like I mentioned, my credit card bill, then when Mercury went retrograde and Mars left, I got some help with that bill, right? I got some refund stuff. I was able to pay a good chunk off. So anyway, I'm just mentioning that because your relationship stuff could improve here. Now that Mercury's sort of backtracking and cleaning up your mess. But I got to move on to someone else. I'm sorry. Ariel. Sorry. Who is next? Having fun with fire. Sarah Williams. Huge fan, got him. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for being here. And thank you, Amber. So Amber is moderating for me because she is. Because she is. And she's been listening to me bitch and whine for days. So it's only, well, I trust her. Okay, Trinissa Davenport. Trinissa. There's a Smashing Pumpkins song, like an old one called Tristessa. And this is the first thing I thought of. Tristessa. Trinissa. July the 4th. 1969. All right, my darling. We got a Gen Xer. Warren, Ohio. 12:53 p.m. Trinissa. Ohio. I shouldn't assume your gender, Trinissa, but I am here. Unfortunately, well, I'll put you down as an event. Everyone is an event, aren't we? Everyone is sort of like a confluence of conflicting thoughts, feelings, and sensations, all crisscrossing and colliding into each other. We're all walking contra-fucking dictions, I'm all hyper. I'm all amped up because I was so pissed about all that streaming software shit. Wait, did anyone else say anything? I'm sorry, I missed this stuff. I'm a Pisces rising too. Has been kicking my entire life status. I know, I feel you. Oh yes, thank you, Amber. Like and share. You already feel old. I'm sorry, me too. Oh, thank you. I know. I'm so glad I finally made it live too. Anyway, so we'll talk about Trinissa. Trinissa. Oh, will you be next? I don't know. I will see who's next. So Trinissa, let me start the timer again because I don't want to. Okay. Oh, I got new matches on Tinder. Oh, fun. I've been going on lots of dates lately. I want to meet someone. Like I want to meet a long-term partner. But like in the meantime, it's okay. And I think I'm becoming polyamorous. I think I'm turning poly. I was trying to put it to a song, but okay. So we've got start the timer. Okay. So we got a Libra rising. The wonderful thing about Libra rising, the wonderful thing about Tigris is that I'm the only one. The wonderful thing about Libra rising, well, it's usually very attractive. But the thing about Libra is it's that point between night and day where you have equal night and equal day. It's the Libra equinox, isn't it? And so it's that point, right, where we make conscious choice. Where we make conscious choice to descend into Scorpio, into the darkness. And so for those of you who follow me, you'll probably know that signs don't get their meanings from the constellations. No. There are people who are like into Babylonian astrology that will dispute with me, but I will dispute with them based on the work of Assyriologist Francesca Rochberg, who was one of my heroes, because I'm very much into ancient history. So anyway, suffice it to say that the signs primarily get their meanings from two places. The planets that rule them, in this case, Venus, and their place in the solar cycle, which in this case is the autumnal equinox. right? So, oh, hello. Well, this is the first time I've gone live in about 3 months because I had family, I had surgery, I had all kinds of stuff. But anyway, let's focus on here too. Yeah, so the Libra rising things will matter a lot to you here. And then we'll talk about timing for Libra rising. And my voice sounds horrible. I'm like Aquarius rising. I'm like balding. It's awful. Anyway, so God, it's hot in here. You can see how flushed I am. Anyway, no, I know. I'm so sorry, darling. Crappy Wi-Fi plagues all of us. Okay, Libra rising. So Mars has just gone into your first house. And this can be quite frustrating, which it's even more frustrating you think in your 12th house, but you're a Libra rising. And this is where Mars, oh, you're a fellow Aquarius rising too. Yeah, we're crazy. Okay, but Mars has gone into your first house, which can be quite aggravating. And the thing about the first house, it's the whole you. It's you in mind, body, spirit. In ancient astrology, a lot of them refer to it as the soul, the sign of the soul, right? So what I always tell people is, the lesson for Libra rising, right? It's about balance in all things, right? It's about self-observation to see the balance between self and body or soul and form. I hate the word soul. I like the word consciousness because it's more universally applicable. But anyway, Mars going through this house can also affect your body. So you want to be careful. You can get cuts, scrapes, bruises, burns. Watch out for it. Because Mars rules the fire and the cut and the burn and stuff like that. People are dropping off, so we'll move their charts quicker. I'm sorry. Please like the stream. Please like the stream. And thank you, Amber. Yes, thank you. So anyway, so besides Mars going through Libra, oh, he went through your 12th house. And that could be quite aggravating. We want to be left alone when that happens. And it's like when people come and invade our space, when Mars is going through our 12th house, it's like, no, leave me alone. But see, then Mars goes into the first house, and that's aggravating in a different way. We're more social, but we're more inclined to injure ourselves. And our energy is very frenetic and anxious. I mean, for a Libra rising, if this was an Aries rising with Mars going through their first house, they'd be a little powerhouse. They'd be a little confident, charging ram there. God, that sounds so cliche or trite, whatever. But you see what I'm saying? When it's Libra, it's like, oh, it's like holding your poop in, really. You ever notice how a lot of Libras look like they're just really holding back going to the bathroom? Virgos do that too. Gosh, people are dropping off. Why? Anyway, so then you got Saturn going through your 6th house. This is where you start collecting responsibility, right? So in terms of the Saturn cycle, you came out of the uncertainty of the 5th house, where things get quite chaotic. And then all of a sudden you get to the 6th house in Pisces, and you got to clean up all that stuff. You got to take on responsibilities. So this is like a 3-year ordeal of, adulting. Doesn't mean you can't have fun. Like, you got to remember to do that. I mean, you got your North Node in the 6th house anyway. So life is all about assuming responsibility as you get older, Do I have a name we can use? Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. I'm a Libra moon, so I apologize too much. Oh my gosh, you poor baby. Well, first of all, you got Uranus conjunct your ascendant. You're strange as fuck. You got Chiron in the 7th house, which means pain from relationships, unfortunately. And Saturn in the 8th house in your natal chart, it makes us feel very antiseptic. We don't want to get too close. We don't want to share trauma or feelings or pain with people. We don't want people to know we even feel pain, because that's fucking terrifying. Because then we have to relate to people. We have to share. We have to share with people. Like there's nothing scarier typically to an 8th house Saturn than having to share, you know? Oh my gosh, Amber, you are the most amazing person. Thank you. And I mean, well, I listen to her too, but I have been. Oh, is this Venus time? Is this Venus time? Let me see. Is this? See, I do planetary. No, I already did Venus time. Duh. Duh. I do planetary hours and I do devotion. And Venus is my mama. So anyway, Saturn going through the 6th house, assuming responsibility. That's a 3-year backdrop. Jupiter through the 8th house, learning to manage your finances, learning to set a budget, learning to clean your shit up, Mercury now retrograde in the 12th house, cleaning up all that nonsense. It's probably quite healing for you. I mean, maybe you really got down on yourself, you got depressed, and now it's like, okay, Mercury's going back, and like, okay, we're not that bad. Let me move on to someone else because now everyone's all like, oh. So, Trinissa. Who was after Trinissa? I think it was having fun with fire. Having fun with fire. Having fun. I will just call you having fun. And I'm going to go quicker having fun. I'm so sorry. 229. 88. 1988. See, I remember the 1988 election. That was one of my big, early on memories. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I accidentally skip you? Oh my gosh, having fun. I didn't mean to go. Oh, I just noticed. I did not mean to do that, having fun. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, my darling. I apologize. Worcester. I need glasses. I need to finally get glasses. Everyone left. Where did you all go, you bunch of assholes? Fuck. It's just, I'm sorry. I'm going to move. Maryland. Maryland, the crab capital. When I think of Maryland, I think of my favorite director, John Waters, or one of my favorite directors. That's how you know I'm so crazy, because I grew up on John Waters. I love John Waters. Did Trinissa have anything to say? Trinissa. Okay, having fun with fire. Having fun with fire. When I was a kid, I was such a pyro. I was awful. I was really bad. I have lots of Mars aspects in my chart. And yeah, for my 11th grade Spanish project, I got a bunch of like whole fish from the Vietnamese market, like a whole squid, a couple whole different fish, and some other animals. And I made them into puppets. And like I used them to talk in Spanish in different voices. And as the finale, I blew them up with M80s. I shoved M80s into their mouths and and it was amazing. And I got it all on camera. It was one of those old video cameras, with the actual tape. And we had VHS tape and all that stuff. So anyway, but let's talk about, I'm going to set a timer here to talk about having fun with fire. And we are getting through things. We are being quite organized. And I'm setting 5 minutes on the clock. And we are doing this. So having fun is a Libra rising too. So I'm not going to belabor a lot of that stuff that I just mentioned. Having fun with fire knows what Mars is doing to their chart. Having fun with fire now knows what Saturn is doing to their chart. Having fun with fire knows what Jupiter is doing right now. Having fun with fire understands what Mercury's doing right now. But some of the other things. Oh, this is important. And so I'll mention this for you having fun with fire, and also for our friend Trinissa before us, is that we're about to have, and this is especially special for both of you, we're about to have a solar eclipse, October 15th, 14th or 15th. It's so funny because that's my ex-wedding anniversary. I think it's the 15th. So either the 14th or 15th, it'll be a solar eclipse. And this is a big one. It's going to be conjunct my Libra moon, but you see, it's going to be in your first house. And this represents that time in your life, right? When you start going, see, there's something I call the eclipse cycle. And this is my patented bullshit. So credit me with this. But each of these, when we go through a certain phase of the nodes being in two particular houses, right, because they're opposite each other, each of those periods, durations, represents a part of the eclipse cycle. So when you're in the first and seventh house, you're having big beginnings and endings in terms of your sense of identity and your relationships. So the last eclipse in Aries was April 19th. That was in your seventh house. In all likelihood, there may have been a big breakup or perhaps a new partner that emerged between, say, April and now. Well, close to now. As we go to October and 6 months beyond that, you see, because oftentimes what Libras do, and especially someone whose first house ruler is in the seventh house and very unhappy. So Aries Venus is very, very independent, right? Very independent. I dated several of them, and they don't want to be contained. If you try to smother them at all, they will go out for cigarettes and never come back, right? But there is still this codependency thing that happens with Venus in the seventh house. So it can be very uncomfortable for you having fun because you might want to throw yourself at people on the one hand and feel disgusted throwing yourself at people on the other. And you also have a north node in the sixth house, like our friend Trinessa. So are there any things here? Anyway, Trinessa. But we're talking about having fun. So that eclipse is going to be a big deal. You see, so the eclipse, things that are traumatic with this happen. It's not all fun and games. So having the eclipse happen in your first house, it destabilizes your sense of self, which also happens from conflicts in relationships. We have that destabilization from our sense of self, and then the eclipse, the nodes move into the next phase, right? Pisces and Virgo, where we sort of go into our cocoon, and then we heal and we reassimilate this new sense of self that we have. Yeah, Trinissa, this is still important for you too, because you're a Libra rising. So, Tristessa. God, my hair looks disgusting. Oh. I look like a swamp creature, Anyway, let's go to the next person. Thank you, Sarah Williams. Thank you. So we had you. We have Google user. Google user. Google user. Good news, everyone. No one remembers Futurama, do they? Good news, everyone. Something happened. This box contains your universe. Sorry. July 11th, 1995. Oh my God. In 1995, I think I started listening to like Marilyn Manson and Smashing Pumpkins. I was starting to become a little they didn't have emo back then. There was no such thing as emo, but I was like the prototypical emo. Like, I was super emotional goth. Like, I was a super whiny goth who also loved bright colors. So, yeah, I was the original emo. What the fuck, dude? Stop. Worcester. No, not Worcester. Google user, Iowa City. Iowa City. Oh, mother. There's an Iowa City in California? What the fuck? Dude, please don't. Iowa City. Iowa. It changed it to Canada. Like, what does Iowa City have to do with Canada? So Google user, you're going to be an event. There you go. Google user. I keep saying it like that. Google user is a Sagittarius rising with Jupiter in the first house. So that sort of indicates, well, Jupiter retrograde too. Oh my goodness. You see, you have Jupiter exactly conjunct my Jupiter. And I was born almost exactly 12 years before you, right? It's so interesting because Jupiter's cycle is 12 years. I was born in 1983. So very interesting. But this is a very auspicious place for Jupiter. It's just that nothing good happens till you get older. I'm sorry. And I'm living proof. None of this started for me until I was almost 40. Like, I didn't start my business till I was 38. So, I studied astrology for like 17 years before then, like not talking about it to anyone. So, because I'm not so. So, anyway, so this is auspicious as you get older. This is very nice, You're a Cancer Venus like me. Oh my. I mean, there's a lot of pathological Cancer Venuses. Like Donald Rumsfeld is a Cancer, or was a Cancer Venus. I always thought that was weird. I think I found out who? Mike Pence is a Cancer Venus, and he calls his wife mother. That's what a Cancer Venus. I mean, I have a mommy kink. I often call my partners mommy or whatever. I mean, if they're okay with it. And I'm still the top. Like, I'm still a Veruca Salt. Like, now, mommy, now, daddy. So, but anyway, so you're very sweet. That's lovely. It's just when you have a Cancer Mercury, you could probably see in your head what you want to say. When I talk to a Cancer Mercury, did anyone see Billy Madison with Adam Sandler? Remember the kids reading? They're in third grade, and he's like, what, once, there was this good, and he goes, today, Junior, right? And starts laughing. That's what I'm thinking when I talk to a Cancer Mercury. I'm sorry. I'm like, spit it out. On with it. Finish the story. My daughter's a Cancer Mercury too. I've had a number of Cancer Mercuries in my life. So anyway, but having the 8th house sun. So when you have an 8th house sun, everyone tells you their secrets. Everyone shares with you. Everyone confides in you, right? You probably don't even want them to. It might be uncomfortable, but they seek you out as a confidant, don't they? Right? Doesn't that happen to you? I think it does, right? Saturn in the 4th house, though, and retrograde. You're having your Saturn return right now, Saturn in Pisces. I know a lot of people in modern astrology say, like, well, your Saturn return happens when Saturn is within orb to be conjunct your Saturn. As far as I'm concerned, it starts when Saturn enters that goddamn sign, right? So, if, like the stream, has everyone liked the stream, please? Like the stream. Like the stream. Like the stream. Don't cross the streams. It would be bad. So anyway, well, what's going on? Oh, so Saturn in the 4th house. I'm so sorry, but typically it's an abusive or absent father. Destabilized home life as a child. Home was not a secure place whatsoever. But as we get older, and I've had several partners with this. My ex-wife had this, right? As we get older, we start to build that secure home space from which we can radiate out, right? And do all that. Be who we need to be ourselves, and be comfortable with it. Because when we have a destabilized home life growing up, what happens? We are afraid to be ourselves. We're afraid to be open. We keep on hiding and concealing for our own safety, right? For our own sense of safety, because home is dangerous. Home is dangerous. They'll do something to us, right? So anyway, but But so anyway, you're having a Saturn return. So these traumas from your parents are probably coming back up. Saturn rules your second house too. So your sense of building your own empire of money, but it's more than money. It's like it's a job, career. It's what you make. It's what you build, right? The love you take is equal to the love you make, right? So anyway, so that's Saturn, and we'll move on in just a little bit, but I want to mention a couple things. So Jupiter going through your sixth house. So this is a lovely time to get your affairs in order, your responsibilities in order. The sixth house is all the shit that we don't want to do. And if we don't take care of the sixth house stuff, our bodies fall apart, right? So we do find our health there. So when Jupiter goes through there, oftentimes we have to readdress, and Jupiter's retrograde right now, sweetheart. So we're readdressing perhaps health issues, or we find out we need to start exercising or take on a health routine. We need to find a new doctor or establish, something like that. You may have complications with a pet or an animal. Sixth house is also our animals, right? Excuse me. Well, how about Mercury? Mars, you had your Mars return recently, and Mars went through your 10th house for, I don't know, like a month or something, right? And then has now gone into Libra. When Mars goes through your 10th house, it's often fights with bosses and authority figures. It causes conflicts at work quite often, right? Sometimes we miss a promotion, or, we get a bad reputation because we blew up. Like Mars going through the 10th house, I think of the movie Jerry Maguire, and I'm sorry, I was raised on television and movies. It's just, I was a latchkey kid, just watch TV, TV. So Jerry Maguire, when he quits his job, he doesn't quit his job, he gets fired. He's like, I'm just gonna freak out, right? And he freaks out. That's what I think of with Mars going through the 10th house. It's like the freak out thing. Now Mars is in your 11th house, where it's sort of like it's fights with friends, getting in arguments with our friends and well-wishers. And oftentimes it happens because we're being stubborn, or we're being passive aggressive. We're obsessed with sticking to this thing. And sometimes we need to pick our battles, because our friends, you have to stand up for yourself, but at least in my case, I'm a Libra moon. I would not survive in the wild. I am not self-sufficient. No, I would not survive. I need people taking care of me, basically. Not all the time, but you know what I'm saying. So I rely on my friends, like I had surgery not too long ago. And, I had a lot of different people coming in and out taking care of me. So, again, Veruca Salt. I'm a grown-up Veruca Salt. I want to feast. I want a bean feast. Anyway. So where did I miss? Venus has been going through your 9th house. Lovely. You probably have been really stuck on astrology and spiritual stuff lately, You probably don't like to share your spirituality a lot. You keep it to yourself. You keep it sort of hidden. Maybe you're afraid people will think you're weird for it and stuff like that. Anyway, but we talked about Mars. We talked about Jupiter. Anyway, so Mercury. You see, Mars left your 10th house, and now Mercury's trying to clean shit up. Maybe you have to backtrack, apologize. Hey, I'm so sorry. What I really meant was, like, what I think of here with Mercury retrograde in the 10th house is like the public apology. You see? Like the star who made a stupid comment, Well, I'm so sorry for the homophobic comments I made. I really don't think that. That's what I think of when Mercury's sort of backtracking through the 10th house after Mars. It's like, hey, I didn't mean that. I didn't mean what I really meant was. And then Mars is in Libra, so now you're incredibly passive aggressive, right? So anyway, we should move on to someone else because I thought that was quite funny. So who's next? Okay. 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 Sarah Williams. Sarah Williams. Sarah Williams. Oh, Sarah. Oh, Sarah. Sarah, Sarah, Sarah. Sarah. Geminis are awful. I'm a Gemini sun, and we just start like calling people nicknames and stuff without even thinking about it. Oh, oh, you're from the UK, sweetheart. Yay. See, I'm an internationalist. When I Glamorgan, is that right? The right county? Swansea. Swansea, UK. Oh, you're in Greenwich Mean Time. You're at GMT. You down with GMT? Yeah, you know me. Sorry. GMT, Greenwich Mean Time. We got our UK homies. I've got friends in every fucking Commonwealth nation. I've got friends in the UK. I've got friends in Canada. I have a couple friends in the United States, right? I've got friends in Oz. I've got friends in Old Zealand. So now I just need a Commonwealth passport. That would be wonderful, wouldn't it? Wow, you have an exalted Venus. It's so sweet. Pisces Venus is so sweet. In fact, your Venus is trine my Venus. So we'd probably get along. But I have a joke for Pisces Venus. I say Pisces Venus is so sweet, but it has a problem with self-preservation. Like, I'm always surprised to see them in person rather than on the FBI's missing persons list, right? It's very naive. It's very trusting, right? Like, I think of Silence of the Lambs, and it's such, anyway. Anyway, Buffalo Bill, he says, like, are you a size 12? And gets that poor woman into the van or whatever. That's sort of what I think about. But it's very sweet. It's very sweet. I love Pisces Venus. It's also, it can be submissive. My little brother is Pisces Venus. And, I've seen a lot of sexual submissives with Pisces Venus. I'm just saying. It's very artistic, though, too. Very creative and intuitive. It relates to people through emotion. Right? It's very sensitive. I hate the word empath and all that, but it's got a sense of compassion. You see? And you're a Cancer rising. How lovely. But you're a new moon, baby. I mean, you're like at the very end of a balsamic moon, right? But I would call this a new moon because it's less than 10 degrees away. I don't know. I mean, I guess you'd call it the end of a balsamic. Excuse me. You probably have both characteristics. You're probably a bit naive and at the same time, a bit sort of old and wise. Right. The thing about balsamic moon, it's called the dark moon, right? It's very Saturnian. It's got a sense of like death, a sense of aging, a sense of melancholy. While the new moon is a bit different. It's like Aries. It's charging forth. It's bursting onto the scene, and it's naive because it's new. It can do stupid things, but it's not trying to hurt any. It's like Madonna. Madonna's a new moon, baby, and she's just out there being a Leo, not really caring, if she stirs up controversy or whatever. I mean, when I was a kid, she was controversial in the 80s and 90s. So anyway, excuse me. Got to keep that timer going. So, but you see, there's both things going on. Anyway, Aquarius. Aquarius. I mean, you have a painful situation because you're sensitive at the same time you're not sensitive. I mean, you want two contradictory things. You want your I mean, all of us do, especially women, right? We want our space and we want to be like doted on, right? I mean, I know I do. It's like, yes, give me attention, but no, leave me alone. I don't know how things work. Like, I don't know how contradictions work, but So anyway, gosh, that's difficult having both Jupiter and Saturn in your 10th house, and a very unhappy Saturn, because it makes us feel like we have no life direction. Oftentimes we get to be 40 years old and we're like, I don't know what I want to do. Right? But that's okay. It's not bad. I got to move on to the next person. But really quickly, we've got Saturn moving through your 9th house, which totally dismantles all the stuff you believe in. So you're going to be smashed and shattered with whatever it is that you hold dear. So have fun with that. Jupiter going through your 11th house. This is really good for getting friends and allies, and if you do anything with self-promotion, this is very good. Like if you create content, if you have an audience, if you're a performer, anything like that, Jupiter going through your 11th house is great. It's good for getting supporters, for getting an audience, for getting fans, for getting people who care about you and want you to succeed. The 11th house is hopes and wishes and dreams, you see. So anyway, did I mention stuff? Mars going through your 4th house, fights with parents, fights with landlords, right? Getting your home situation could either have a difficult challenge that comes up or fights with parents, right? So anyway, next person. We talked, that was Google user, and then Sarah Williams. We have Julianne. Who's next? Oh, thank you, Amber. You are so sweet. Amber is my new hero. Let's see who. Haifa. I remember you, Haifa. I haven't been on in a long time. I hope you're still here, Haifa. His name is Taha. And that's right, you're from Tunisia, Tunisia. What am I? Living in the 1800s. I'm a Saturn girl, So July 18th. I always have to remember, everyone who doesn't live in the United States puts the day before the month, which actually makes intuitive sense. But here in the United States, we sort of do everything backwards. 2001, holy cow, gosh. I started college right then. 2001. And he was born in Tunisia. So 0 dark 30. He was born at 0 dark 30. 0 dark 30. Gosh, I shouldn't be like adding extra energy to all that, but my dad was a colonel in the United States Army, and like anyway, are there weird things in the background? I don't think so. Just want to make sure I'm not incriminating myself in any way. Want to make like the stream. If you came here, like the stream, please. Like the stream. So anyway, we're looking at Taha from Tunisia and a male. Get the mail. You've got mail. Anyway, thank you for liking the stream. I appreciate whoever that was. Let's get to 20. Can we get to 20 likes? I'd like that. That would be pretty cool. If I get a read. Julianne, did you post your stuff? I didn't see you up there, Julianne. Anyway, I'm going to talk about Taha for a second, but Julianne, I don't see your information. So Taha has Jupiter going through his first house right now. This is a big deal. This is it could be a great thing. And it's good for abundance Jupiter rules his 8th house of investment and credit and all that sort of thing. And also his 11th house of benefactors and well-wishers. So, and he's a Taurus rising. You see, the thing about Taurus is, yes, everyone thinks of it as material-minded, but when it's the Taurus rising, there's a deeper side to it, Like the Buddha was Taurus, right? I'm not saying he'll get here or whatever, or understand this, but it's about understanding the life within matter, the life within form. Everything is alive. And while most of the other signs are content with the spiritual vision or whatever, right? It doesn't fucking matter if it's not here, if it's not now, if it's not real. All your ideas don't mean shit if you don't make them real in the physical plane with actual matter and stuff and make them substantial. Ideas can be a useful directing force, right? But if they're not set in motion through actual effort, then they're just sitting there rotting, right, in your mind or on the mental plane or however you want to think about it. Yeah. But so this is very important because these people do have the capability, right? Or, their expression, their finer expression is about recognizing the life wherever you are. It's about being present, right? His first house ruler is Venus in the 2nd house. You see, he probably grew up quite poor because Saturn is in the 2nd house. But I guarantee you, he's had aspirations. He's had dreams. He's been like, I'm going to make it. Someday I'm going to get there. Someday. And you could tell me if I'm right or wrong. I don't know. I'm just spouting off shit as I see it. So I just call him. Please like the fucking stream. Who are the people here who like the stream? Like the stream. So anyway, Jupiter going through the 1st house, though, it gives us a sense of confidence. It helps build us up. So this is wonderful for a young man like that. He's still very young. What, 22? And this is wonderful for giving him a sense of optimism, right? He's probably been a little depressed lately. Where in the world is... Okay, so yes, he's been depressed lately. He's been depressed for about 3 years until about March because Saturn, like the stream, I'm looking at you, whoever you are. Okay, because Saturn was going through his 10th house for a while. You see, it makes us feel like we have no direction. It makes us miss opportunities. It gets us down. It makes us feel like I'll never, ever succeed. I'll never, ever, ever get there. It's like that scene in the movie when you're sort of like, I'm thinking of like Marilyn Monroe, when you're sort of like you're on the sidewalk and you're cold and wet and you have no job. And then all of a sudden you land something, right? Now, I'm not saying he's necessarily going to land something, but I am saying that he's going to be getting more confidence during this period. And this will be a year-long thing, you see? And then Saturn will be going through his 11th house now. So it'll make him feel... What's going to be hard here is building up friends and allies and people who will help him out. So what he needs to do is learn to pick his battles, learn how to relate to people, because he's not going to want to deal with people, but he's got to learn how to put himself out there, how to make friends, how to get allies, because you can't do shit by yourself. It doesn't work. And Mars is going through his 6th house, so he might be having health crises. But this is also about doing the things that you don't want to do. It's about assuming responsibility. He might be a little pussy about it because Mars is in Libra, right? So, encouragement is nice. He's a man, and men don't like being told necessarily, at least in my experience, but encouraging him and giving him some guidance, probably because he'll need it. He'll feel like he's waffling. And, hopefully he's coming out of that funk where he feels like he missed opportunities. So anyway, we got to move on to the next person. What? Who's next? Oh, I'm so sorry, Amber. I didn't see your texts. I didn't see your text. I'm so sorry. And I'm looking at your text now, Amber. That was my fault. That was my fault, Amber. Who is next? Is it Julianne? Who's next, Amber? You tell me. I'm sorry. Julianne got skipped. Where's Julianne's information? I'm so sorry. Thank you, Amber. I'm really unorganized. I'm so sorry. This is my first time having help, and Amber's lovely. So I just need to find your information, Julianne. Julianne. Oh, Julianne. No, I'm sorry. You have 50 cents to your name. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Where's your information, my love? Why don't I see it? Why don't I see it? Julianne. Do I miss it? Amber's texting me. Thank you, Amber. Thank you, Amber. I can't see it. Open my phone. Where's Julianne? I don't see her information. Amber, help me. Where's Julianne? Julianne, can you post your info again? I don't see it anywhere. I see you have 50 cents. I see. I don't see your information. Why don't I see it? Julianne, can you post it again? Julianne. I don't see your information anywhere in this. Please post your information. I don't see it anywhere. Do you hear me, sweetheart? Are you there? I don't want to have too much lag time. Are you here? Are you here? Julianne was, oh, there we go. Julianne, Grangeville, Idaho. Okay. Oh, I got to text my daughter. Good night, really quick. I love you so much, sweetheart. Good night. Oh. I love you so much, sweetheart. Good night. Okay. Elkhart, Indiana. Oh my God. Elkhart. I had a partner from Indiana, and I know about Elkhart. Okay. Okay, 624. Okay, it says Julianne, and it's a Cancer. Julianne's a Cancer. Julianne's a Cancer. Julianne's a Cancer. 11:32. 11:32 p.m. Grangeville, Idaho. Wait, 1985. Why did it do that? Oh, Marty, we got to get back to 1985. 11:32 p.m. 6/24, 1985. 11:32 p.m. Grangeville, Idaho. Grangeville, Idaho. Idaho. So you're a Pisces rising also. My little brother's a Pisces rising. I love Pisces rising. It can be sort of a martyr, though. You can't give from an empty cup. You have to remember that. You have a Virgo moon too, sweetheart. You're a people pleaser, probably. I mean, you have Mars combust like me. So you can be a bad bitch. but they're in Cancer. So you're still probably a bit passive aggressive, and you might be the type that cries when you get upset, but you're still aggressive. You're still aggressive and you're still assertive. And you probably love sex. You're probably a very sexual person. I have Mars in my fifth house too, and my sun, like you do. And the fifth house rules sex and children, because how do we make children? Right? So that's very typical here. We've already talked about Mercury in Cancer being sort of, you know, but people pleasing is sort of the big thing here that you really have to get over it. Because seventh house moon too, it's like, I want a gold star, daddy. Please, 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 please give me a gold star. Tell me I'm good. But you need to learn to get that validation from yourself, from the inside. I'm assuming things, right? I don't see you talking to me, so I don't know, but this is sort of my thing, how I see it. Okay. Saturn has now gone into your first house, like the other person. So again, this is introspection. If you had heard what the first person, the Pisces rising, was going through, it's a complete readjustment of our sense of self, because as Saturn is in the 12th house, it removes us from society. It removes us from the mainstream. We still work and have lives and everything else, but we're not going out. We're not having friends. We're not having fun. We're not doing this or that, because sometimes we're very literally taken out, of the mainstream surroundings or whatever. Like, I moved out to the sticks with friends when I was going through separation during this. You see, so it could be very literal, but it could also be psychological. But when Saturn goes into the first house, then it's all about readdressing these things that came up. We remember traumas. We start to remember, I don't want to go into the whole trans thing over and over again, but when Saturn was going through my 12th house, it was all about all those feelings coming up again. But then when it went in the first house, it's like, this has to happen. We start contemplating mortality, death. We start feeling older, mature. Sometimes we lose weight, right? We've talked about all the other things, though, going on. Jupiter's going through your third house. Right? This is even better for you because your node is here, your north node. And Venus is there, very happy Venus, right? So that's quite lovely for you, With Jupiter going through there, it's wonderful for content creation. It's wonderful for going to school. It's wonderful for, good grades, for writing and speaking projects, for good relationships with extended family, with siblings, with people in your community, neighbors, right? So, this is a lovely transit, but when Jupiter's retrograde for you in the third house, it can constrict all those things. It can make you feel a bit isolated. It can make you feel mute. It can make you feel unable to speak, right? And your north node's in the third house. So you see that this, as you get older, learning to find your voice and communicate, because the ninth house is all about the introspection, the discovery of deeper information. And the third house is what? Talking about it. Let me share with you. This is what I know. This is what I learned, right? And you have that sort of sense about you anyway. You're very good at connecting and networking, probably. Although this whole Jupiter thing is very, uncomfortable in the 12th house, or at least it can be. Maybe you have something to do with social work or the mentally ill or drug addicts or something. Or maybe you are one, I don't know. So, or depression oftentimes. But it's your 10th house ruler, so oftentimes I think that's what your work is or what you do or what you're known for. But Jupiter's also your first house ruler. So, you might want to watch out for drug and alcohol issues. And you may struggle with mental health. So depression, especially we see in the 12th house, depression, sometimes bipolar. But I think of bipolar more as Saturn or Pluto with the moon. So anyway, we got to move on to someone else. Why does my timer? Where's my timer? Laura is next. Thank you, Ember. Thank you. Laura, did you give me some time? I've got to give myself one more chance to ring the band that I know I'm in. It's a song, Laura, by the Scissor Sisters. The Scissor Sisters. Where's Laura? Laura. Oh, I see Laura. Oh, and then there's Neen. Laura. 81681. You're about my age, Laura. Laura, won't you give me some time? I got to give myself one more chance to ring the band that I know I'm in. To ring the band that I know I'm in. Won't you just tell baby daddy I'm gonna need his love. Why won't he give me his love? Why won't he give me his Shimon? Shimon, where is your love? Okay, Laura, Aquarius rising like me. Your rising sign is conjunct mine. Timer, 5 minutes. Neen is third. Okay. Thank you, Amber. Gosh, thank you, Amber. Thank you, Amber. Ember. So Aquarius rising like me, you're crazy. You got a Cancer Mars in the 6th house. So you don't get along with people too well, or maybe you have contentious relationships. Mars rules the 3rd house, maybe contentious relationships with family or siblings. You know, the 3rd house is also aunts, uncles, and cousins. Oh, 10th house, ruler. Do you have anything to do with the medical profession or with the service industry? We see that a lot. We see people who are, you know, like receptionists at like a health place, or, you know, we see nurses. I see nurses, veterinarians, vet techs, diet techs, um, food service workers. I was a food service worker, dishwashers, right? People in the service industry, people with hotels, right? I mean, everyone's in the service industry these days because that's the way it is. Sun in the 7th house and the North Node in the 7th house, but in Leo. This is an interesting thing because you think of the Sun in the 7th house as people who are dedicated to other people. And you think of Leo as me, right? But so this is an interesting set of affairs because the Sun in the 7th house is still sort of codependent. So, you know, you might have a great sense of confidence, but you still always need this deliberation. And you still probably need buy-in from people. And you're not comfortable, right, if other people aren't on board. So, I mean, you have to be aware of that. Venus has been going through your 7th house now, just like me. So maybe you've met some new people. I certainly met some new people. And I got ghosted by some people. And I got dumped by some people. So you see this Venus retrograde. It's fun. It's interesting. There's lots of bullshit going on too and all this. But now Venus is direct. She's slowly going to separate from the sun and become visible again as the morning star. And that is good luck for love and sex sort of stuff. So, you know. Anyway, we also have Mars going through your 9th house like me. So and you have Saturn in the 9th house like me. So when you have Saturn in the 9th house, we often get very skeptical about things and people, or we get very crystallized in our beliefs. I think of the 9th house Saturn as someone who's at war with God and at war with their gurus. You know, where did everyone go? Wow. Everyone dropped off all of a sudden. Kind of sucks. Well, I guess we've been going for an hour and 14 minutes, so I understand. But anyway, Mars going through your 9th house. Watch out for arguments with family, right? Or with anyone about what you believe. Like you're going to want to be very passionate about what you believe and what you think. So I know I'm very argumentative right now. So just be aware. You see, you've got You've got Saturn going through your second house like me. So you got to get frugal now. This is a time where we're starting to learn to manage our money and our resources. Where the fuck is everyone going? Jesus. Learning to manage our money and our resources, build up our business if that's what we do, right? It gets quite uncomfortable. It feels like we're bleeding money, right? We get very insecure about our finances, and I know I am. Like, my apartment's expensive, and every month it's like I'm trying to make sure I make ends meet, right, properly. But you see, you have Chiron in the fourth house like I do, so difficult time with dad or with home life growing up, not fun. And you had a difficult time with religion. Maybe your parents were very religious. Maybe you grew up in a religious household or had religion imposed on you. And so that makes us into atheists or skeptics, right? Or it makes us very interested in religions our parents didn't like or had nothing to do with. So that happens too. Jupiter's going through your fourth house, which could really improve your living situation. Or you could see a parent health improve, right? A mom or dad, or stepmom or stepdad or grandparents, you could see their health improve, or you could see their situation get better. They could get lucky with money or whatever. But this is also your real estate, your home, your family legacy and stuff like that. So did I miss anyone? Talked about Mars in Libra, Mercury retrograde here. So you probably racked up a lot of debt like I did. And now Mercury's cleaning all that up. So hopefully you have an experience like I did, and you get a little bit of good news with your debt. You get a little bit of luck. Where the fuck did everyone go? Jesus Christ. Ugh. Where'd you all go? Bunch of bloggers. Anyway. Moon in Pisces. You're so sweet. Moon in Pisces. They're so gullible. It's very empathic. I hate that fucking word. It's very compassionate. And the word compassion, to feel with, right? It feels along with people. I just make fun of Pisces that it's sort of like a mop, right? It sucks up all the dirty water and emotions and everything else around it. The only difference is you can wring out a mop. With Pisces, you have to give it alone time. And maybe as a seventh house Leo sun, you want to connect with people. You want to meet people. You want to be out there and doing things. But you see, this Pisces moon needs to detangle or untangle itself from the web of emotions of everybody else, because those things drain it of energy and they affect you, So that's something you have to schedule alone time every day so you can recharge, right? That'll be important for you. Okay, let's move on to the next person. Okay, so Laura, EMZ. It's got the EMZ. 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 Wait, hold on. Okay. EMZ, and then, okay, I gotcha. Thank you, Amber. Okay. EMZ 0411. 2001. I'm sorry, I'm just like, I feel old. 2001. Oh, wait. Yeah, April 11th. Okay. 2:31, Troy, Michigan. 2:31 p.m. Troy, Michigan. There's Troy Newaygo and Troy Oakland. Troy, Michigan. Troy, Michigan. Where is Troy? What county is Troy, Michigan? Oakland County. Okay, why does it say Newaygo? See, stupid solar fire makes me like, where did everything go? There we go. Okay. EMZ. EMZ is the Leo rising. I love Leo rising. I'm going to need to go get some water in just a second. I'm sorry, but I will have to. Oh, good. Some more people came. So EMZ, you're Leo rising. That's lovely. So that means you've had Venus going through your first house. That means it was time to sparkle for a while. Now, with Venus retrograde, it probably felt like, you wanted to hide yourself a little bit, or you got self-conscious or ashamed maybe of being flashy. But it is the time to be flashy and to be confident, to put your nice shoes on, to stare in the mirror a little bit, So anyway, Jupiter in the 10th house. See, when you have Saturn in the 10th house like that, when we're growing up, we often have a sense that we don't have a sense of life direction. We don't know what we want to do. We don't know where we want to go. Oftentimes our parents make us feel guilty for not doing what they want us to do. Or maybe we didn't follow in the family footsteps or some nonsense like that. But Jupiter going through your 10th house, it brings us to a sense of, hey, like, I'm finding my way. I'm finding my path. So this is a wonderful development, and this is over the next year. Now, while Jupiter's retrograde, though, it'll make us feel a little bit hopeless, or it'll make us feel a little, it contracts things, it constricts things when it's retrograde. So we might feel like, oh gosh, this isn't going to happen for me. It isn't. But in January, you might notice things do start happening, right? Oh my gosh, excuse me. It's my hernia. And Saturn now is where? Going through your 8th house. So this is a difficult thing, Saturn going through the 8th house. The next several years or so will feel a bit heavy, right? What happens when Saturn is in the 8th house? Oftentimes we experience a sense of loss. It could be financial loss, right? It could be that we have to invest lots of money into something to keep things going, right? There could be a big expenditure. There could be an actual loss of a person sometimes. It's not always that. It doesn't have to be that, okay? I just have to throw that out there. It is a possibility. I don't want to make anyone anxious or whatever. Typically, it has more to do with difficulty with our finances. The second 8th house axis is about our resources and money and stuff like that. Whereas the second house is the stuff we earn and build up. The 8th house stuff is what we get from other people, investments and things like that. And it's what we owe. So you might find yourself owing a lot during that period. You might also find yourself having to address traumas and hurts that you never dealt with before. So this can also be sort of a depressing and introspective period too. So the 8th house, to me, is also about forgiveness. Why is that? We say the 8th house is about debt. And what's forgiveness? It's squaring an emotional debt, you see? So we don't only forgive other people, we're forgiving ourselves too. And it's for us so that we can let ourselves move on. Because when we hold on to things, grudges included, we keep ourselves stuck in the past, right? We're keeping ourselves bound to something. And we need to be free of it in order to move on and be who we are. We cage people in our thoughts about them, and people change and they grow. So don't try and cage people up in your mind, right? Anyway, what else was going on here? What else was going on? Mars going through your third house. Road rage. Please be careful of road rage over the next month or so. Okay. Now we'll go on to the next person. So. Who's next? Ember. Neen. We got a Neen. Neen. May the 4th be with you. May the 4th, 1985. May the 4th be with you. And it's Inuvik, Northwest Territory. What the? Oh, wait. It's the time. What's the time? Well, it's gotta be close to midnight. But it's talking to me. Says time for danger. It says I wanna commit a crime. Wanna be the cause of a fight. I wanna put on a tight skirt and flirt with a stranger. That's from Rent, sorry. Neen. Okay, there we go. So Neen's a Libra rising. We've already had 3 Libra risings now. So we don't need to say a whole lot about that. You've already heard the timing, Neen. We've already said all the time. We've talked about Saturn in the 2nd house. Oh, wait, sorry. We've talked about Saturn in the 6th house. We've talked about, sorry, it's Ember. Oh, thank you. Okay. I have to get water in just a second. After this one, I'll get water. Oh, my eyes are getting bad. So we talked about Saturn in the 6th. We talked about Mars going through the 1st. Yeah, we talked about Mars going through the 1st already. That's quite agitating, right? Which we talked about. So just watch getting too crazy and frenetic and starting fights with people or hurting yourself. Go slow. When you're cooking in the kitchen, watch what you're doing. Look at the knife. Look what you're doing. Don't cut or burn yourself. Stop it. Slow down. Slow down and do one thing at a time. Okay? Jupiter in the 8th house, we talked about cleaning up debt. That's wonderful. Mercury in the 11th house, that's straightening stuff out with friends when you may have started some shit. So maybe you had to go back and repair relationships. I don't know. Wait, I got turned around. Oh, no, he's in the 12th house. That's your own mental health stuff. So Mars in the 12th house was quite agitating, right? Quite confining and isolating. Maybe made you want to jump out of your own skin. And now Mercury is sort of like going back over stuff. Soothing and calming. Like, okay, like, what did this mean? Like, okay, I gotta chill out now. Okay. Now the eclipse we talked about in your 1st house, that'll be a big deal. So why don't we just talk about your natal chart a little bit? So you have Mars in Gemini like I do. Your Mars is conjunct my Mars. We're terrible arguers, aren't we? It's sort of like, the lawyer. I think of A Few Good Men, right, with Tom Cruise. And he goes, I want the truth, right? Like he's the dogged sort of lawyer or reporter that's like, and then he goes, you can't handle the truth. I think of that as Mars in Capricorn. But Mars in Gemini is like, give me the truth. I want to know, right? It's It's very good at being a journalist or a lawyer, right? Because it's good at not letting go of things, right? It forces you to tell it. It's very good at arguing the point. Good interviewers, perhaps. Yeah, you have Sun in your 8th house also, conjunct your North Node. So again, this feels like someone who ends up being everyone else's therapist, right? Everyone tells you their secrets. And you probably don't want them to, because then you feel like you have to reciprocate, and it can be quite uncomfortable. Excuse me. But it's something you have to get used to doing, you know? And you learn about yourself through relationships, unfortunately. The thing that you have your 1st house ruler in detriment in the 7th house. So you have that same sort of thing. Someone else had this earlier, where there's the people-pleasing tendency, or the need to find your value through other people, or wanting validation through others, but at the same time, wanting everyone to leave you alone, right? A sense of codependence and hyper-independence at the same time, perhaps. You know, I make fun of Mercury in Aries. It's like, it's always breaking shit. You know, Mercury in Aries will be like, hey, how does this work? And I'm like, not anymore since you touched it. Wow, okay. We're gonna have to cut it off at some part. I'm gonna move. What? Where's my timer? It didn't tell me when the fucking timer ended. It's supposed to give me an alarm. Ah. Anyway. Next person. Set timer. Amber. So EMZ, we get Neen. We got Zeno. Zeno. Oh, wait, I need to get my water really quick. Coming in? Coming in? Come on in. Okay. Okay. Zeno. Oh, Zenock. Well, I don't think I'm saying that properly. Sorry. Zenock, I don't know. November the 10th, 91. What did Amber say? Okay. Zeno. 5:38 p.m. Okonomo. Those indigenous words are so wild. Okonomowo. Okonomowoke. 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 Okay. So Zeno, there we got a Gemini rising. We got a new rising sign. Thank goodness. Let's try and do some other rising signs. So Gemini rising is quite fun. The destiny of Gemini rising is learning how to relate to everybody. Because a 6th house Scorpio sun conjunct Mars and Pluto doesn't necessarily want to relate to everyone. They call the 1st house your soul sign, right? Rhetorius, Vedius Valens, several others. Let's see who does this. Here's the first house. The first house. This is Demetra George's Ancient Astrology in Theory and Practice, Volume 2. So we're just going to talk about a few first house significations. First house significations. Hermes Trismegistus, the soul. I don't know how to say this guy's name. Thrasyllus, the life. Antiochus of Athens, the soul. Right? Vedius Valens, the soul. Paulus of Alexandria, the giver of life and breath, which is the soul. Firmicus Maternus, life and spirit or soul. Rhetorius, breath, spirit, soul. You see? So this is sort of like the destiny or dharma or soul impulse of Gemini, right? To be able to relate to all different types of people, especially when one is sort of cut off. You see, when one has a sixth house sun conjunct Mars, I worry about these kind of people, because they might be mean. I mean, you might be sort of a mean person sometimes. I mean, I don't know. I don't know you. But, I mean, I see that and I'm thinking like, wow, you could probably be a bit mean, with insults or, what are you doing, cat? What? Quick with insults, know how to sting people. People who know how to fight or who might be contentious, right? You have Pluto conjunct your sun. So unfortunately, life is a series of unfortunate events that you learn through, right? It feels that like life is punctuated by a series of shattering crises. Sort of like Terminator 2, when they smash that liquid metal guy and then he comes all back together again, right? If you've seen Terminator 2, everything's a fucking movie to me. But you see what I'm saying? Capricorn moon, you poor baby. It's very hard to relate to people too. And it's an 8th house moon. Mom was not a nice person, was she? Maybe she was. I don't know. You have Jupiter trine the moon. So you're probably a very sweet person. It's just very hard to share with people, right? Jupiter's unhappy in Virgo, though. So again, there's this sense of being directionless or not having a sense of life direction or not maybe feeling like the opportunities never arise or whatever. There's often a sense you have to struggle for things, probably, right? Life is a struggle. You may have a sense of wanting to fight all the time or battle, right? Like I think of this Mars, Sun, Pluto thing. Like, I'm going to the grocery store. I'll be right back. I'm going to put on my body armor and go, because you might get in a fight, like life always fights you. So you have to struggle for things. But see, when you're always putting armor on to deal with people, then you don't know how to relate. You don't know how to be vulnerable with people. In Capricorn moon, there's nothing more terrifying than being vulnerable with anyone, right? So at some point in your life, you have to learn how to invoke this Venus nature here of yours, because Venus in Libra knows how to relate to people. It knows how to share with people. It is very socially aware and it connects with people. You're probably also very sexual because Venus in the 5th house also, very sexual, very horny all the time. So there's that. Now, things that are going on in your chart. How are we doing on this? Dude, why does the timer fucking stop? Like, am I stupid or like what? Okay, we're talking about like 2 things really quickly. Saturn going through your 10th house. It can be quite frustrating. It feels like you're not getting those opportunities you want. It feels like things pass you by. Yeah, thank you, Amber. If you can keep the timer. Keep timer at. There we go. Thank you, Amber. I'm not trying to be brief, Amber. It's just very helpful. And I don't know what keeps happening with my phone or if I'm just stupid. It could just be that I'm stupid. So anyway. So Saturn going through your 10th house can be quite frustrating. The thing is, as Saturn gets to the end of that sign of Pisces for you, you'll start seeing things change, right? So what you thought you wanted to do might frustrate you. It's like you didn't get the job, or something happened. You missed that opportunity. You weren't there soon enough. You weren't at the right place at the right time. Someone else got it before you. Someone else was more competitive, right? But what you see as Saturn gets to those last degrees of Pisces, as we get into 2025 and 2026, you see new things arise for you. Maybe the direction you wanted to go in really wasn't suiting you, and there's a new direction that really does end up suiting you. I could tell you, for me, I missed a big promotion at my old company. I wanted to be in senior management, right? Well, didn't work out that way. I got shoved into a smaller location with a smaller staff, but it was all my own. So rather than having like a bunch of supervisors over a big place, I got a small place that I was like the big boss over. And I was reporting directly to, this associate director. And it was a great experience because then I got to show directly how well I could manage these finances. It's like I managed restaurants for years, and then I can't manage a fucking live stream. So, But anyway, I'm just telling you that story because new opportunities emerged later, and I went into like an IT direction. Well, and I found out I didn't like that later either, and I started doing this when I could because I spent 20 years in this place. So anyway, I'm just telling you that because that's a very good reminder as things start feeling dark and dim. It's like, why aren't things happening for me? Why aren't things happening for me? It's because you're waiting for stuff to happen. I mean, things are readjusting themselves. You don't wait, but you just don't have a lot of clarity right now. You're clouded by what you think you want to do, and it's not necessarily what's going to work out. You see? And then Mercury cleaning up stuff in your fourth house. Maybe you had some real differences with your parents or a landlord or something to do with real estate. Maybe you pissed some people off and now you're cleaning up the. Oh, yes. Thank you. You're going to text me every 5 minutes. Jupiter in your 12th house. This is mental healing. You may have been going through some difficult times. You may have felt like you were at the end of your rope. You maybe felt like, I just can't do this anymore. But Jupiter going through your 12th house helps you put things in perspective. It's sort of like healing introspection. I keep using the word healing because he's a benefic and he's going through a really angry house, like a really difficult house. This is the house of isolation and mental illness and addiction and abuse and all those unfun things. So when Jupiter goes through here, he starts giving us more hope. He starts making us face things. He starts making us process, right? Oftentimes we avoid facing stuff that was painful. And Jupiter sort of makes us come to terms with things, And it's not all at once. This Jupiter transit is a year long, you see? So when Jupiter's retrograde, that part can be a bit painful. It brings up the depressive feelings again. But it's so you can put all this stuff back in perspective, right? It's not all terrible. And it'll start feeling a lot better, bit by bit as Jupiter tours that 12th house of yours. Who did I miss? Talked about Saturn, talked about Jupiter, talked about Mars. Going through your 5th house. Oh, so I don't know if you have children or not, but you're going to have a contentious relationship with your children for another month. If you have kids, you're going to be in fights with your kids. They're going to be unruly. They're going to be misbehaved. They're going to fight you every step of the way, and you're going to get frustrated. If you don't have kids, you're going to be very horny. And if either way, Mars in the 5th house makes us very like, I need to have sex, right? And it could be quite frustrating because it's never enough. I just can't get enough. I just can't get enough. That's Meg Myers. Jealousy. I don't think I can stop the jealousy. And I can't stop the jealousy, and neither can you with that Pluto conjunct your sun. So, time to move on to the next person. But you see, we got through, that's some good stuff. Just watch out fights with kids, or, um, it could be quite uncomfortable if you don't have a partner, I suppose. Let's see. That was Zeno. Where's Nikki? Nikki. 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 Where's Nikki? Nikki, Nikki, Nikki. Do you know where Nikki's stuff is? I don't know her. I don't see her birth time. Where's Nikki? I wish I could search in this. Search in chat. Nikki. Nikki. Can you help me find Nikki, Amber? Please. Please, please, please. I can't find Nikki. Is there a birth time in city? 11/24/95. Cool. Why don't I see her anywhere? Okay. 11/24. 22. 36. Plains. Plains, New York. White Plains. Okay, because this was telling me I was stupid. White Plains. There we go. It worked. 10:46 p.m. White Plains, New York. November the 24th, 1995. Nikki. So we got another Leo rising. So we've already talked about the timing. We know about Jupiter in your 10th house, right? Which is great for your success in finding your direction. While he's retrograde, it'll damper your, yes, the year is 1995. I've got November the 24th, 1995, 10:46 p.m. Thank you, Amber. Yes, I got we got 1995. Anyway, so we know about that. We know about Venus going through the first house with the razzle dazzle. We know about Jupiter going through the 10th house, revealing opportunities. You're having your Saturn return, like one of the other folks on here. So, of course, this is going to be a challenging time, right? This is time to grow up. But in the 8th house, it's about facing all these stupid traumas, right, from our childhood. It's also about getting over these walls that we've built up for a long time. Oftentimes, we might go through a sense of letting go and loss. It could be financial. We could have a big financial loss. It could also be people in our lives. Someone close to us could pass. That does happen. It's the worst case scenario, and it's not always, but it's something to be aware of, because this is a couple of years that this is going to be going on. So just be prepared in your mind for those sorts of severe letting go. I'm not going to pussyfoot around this. I'm sorry, but it's a tough letting go. What happened around mine? Gosh, I got married during my Saturn return. Right before that, when Saturn was in my 8th house, what was happening? I think it was stuff dealing with. I think I know what it was, and it was stuff to do with death issues. It had to do with cleaning up after my father's death, basically financial cleaning up, and we had court cases going on. So, it's not always a literal death. There can also be things that came from a previous death, you see. So just be aware of that stuff. Now, also, what's going on? Oh, yeah, Pluto conjunct your sun too, you poor baby. We talked about being smashed periodically. That applies to you too. So, all this stuff in your fifth house. I mean, that's just a whole lot of sex stuff, to be honest with you. You know what else? The Walt Disney had a bunch of stuff in his fifth house like that. And, for him, it was all about creating cartoons, creating childlike material and content, right? So there's something to that too, and Venus does rule your 10th house. So I have my 10th house ruler Mars in the fifth house, and I do adult work too, right? Like I do cam work and stuff, which is very characteristic of the 10th house ruler in the fifth house. But you also see people who gamble, people with small businesses, because small businesses are basically gambling, right? It's banking on this thing doing something, right? You're a Capricorn moon too, baby. I'm so sorry. I love Capricorn moons because I'm so mushy and gushy. I mean, I seem like I'm a total bitch usually, but when I'm alone with someone, I'm like, oh, I'm just a big mush ball. And I love Capricorn moons because I make them comfortable and I mush them up, I make them feel all warm and gooey. But you see, typically Capricorn moon does not like to feel warm and gooey. It doesn't like to share because it doesn't want to let it's terrifying because you would get hurt. If you share with people, you might get hurt. That vulnerable part of you. You see? Capricorn is a feminine sign. It's not just all about hardness. It's got a very soft nature to it. It's got a very sensitive nature to it. So, just something to remember. We talked about that. What's going on here? See here. Oh yeah, Pluto square your ascendant like I do. That's lovely. We call this the dominatrix aspect, right? We have issues with power, typically. We want to be in control. We need control oftentimes. So now there's two examples of this I'll mention. One good and one evil. The evil one is Harvey Weinstein, who has this. And this is someone who used his power for evil and did evil, awful things. And then we have one of my heroes who has this, Chef Gordon Ramsay. And if you've ever watched Kitchen Nightmares, or if you've ever watched any of his shows, you might think of him as an asshole, right? Just as everyone knows that meme, what are you? I'm an Indian sandwich, right? But he's also very sensitive. He's a very caring Scorpio man. Yeah, he's going to tear you down. You'll watch him go into these restaurants in Kitchen Nightmares and just tear people to shreds. You donkey, this is stupid. What is this? It's crap, right? He goes into their walk-ins. There's mold, there's filth. It's disgusting. He tears them down. And then what does he do? He sits there and cries with them, has an emotional catharsis with them as they are just, oh, and he sits there with them and he hugs them and he builds them back up, right? After that whole tearing down, he builds them back up. And that's what a good dominant does. That's what a good dominatrix or good, dominance can be female or male or non-binary, right? A good dominant builds people up, inspires people, right? It's not about it shouldn't be about tearing people down at all, unless that's their kink, right? But being inspiring and building people up is a ubiquitous trait here. So anyway, I mean, that's your job that's your mission if you choose to accept it, to be an inspirational type dominant person, because you might be a very dominant type person, even though you have terrible self-confidence and you don't want to connect with anyone. But life is all about connecting. You're learning to build that Leo rising personality. Wait. Did I just miss it? Oh, good. Thank you. She just told me time. So that's very good stuff. Very good. And you got to hear all the stuff about Jupiter in the 10th house earlier, you know, and your Saturn return earlier. So that's all good. And then we've got Zeneb. 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 03. 01. 03. 01. 94. Wait, do we know that Zeneb is, because sometimes if they're not from the US, it's the day and then the month. I just want to make sure Zeneb is in fact a Pisces. Are you a Pisces? Because I see you're from Canada. From Quebec. From Quebec. So you probably know about the, what are they called? The Quebec Liberation Front or something. The Libération de Québec. I don't know. That's old school. I'm old. That's old school. Zeneb. March 1st is what I have. 94. And then I have 6:13 p.m. And I have Jolie Canada. Yeah, there we go. Lovely. So I'm going to fast forward and just make sure that you think Zeneb went to sleep. What type of music? Nikki JW. Nikki, power dynamics have been so heavy in my life. You want to change the music industry desperately. Oh, yeah. Yeah, music. You see musicians a lot with that. I love you, sweetheart. It's my daughter. She's the most wonderfulest person in the world. She really is, though. She's a Gemini with Gemini Mars like me. So, Zeneb? Yeah, please, because I'm going to start talking. But I'm going to do this really quick because Zeneb hasn't been answering. So anyway, so let's assume Zeneb is Virgo rising. We see a lot of famous people with Virgo rising, but they typically have Jupiter in Cancer. You instead have Jupiter in Scorpio in your third house. Where's your Mercury? Mercury's in Aquarius and retrograde. So you have your first house ruler in the sixth house. Oh, you believe they left. So I'm sorry, we'll move on to the next person. Thank you, Amber. So sorry, Zeneb, we're going to go to Bree. We're going to go to Bree. Bree the V. And we have December the 19th, 1978. So funny. I dated so many women from 1978. I'm 1983, so they're 5 years older than me. I don't know what it is about people 5 years older than me. It's always 5 years older than me. So interesting. I think it's the Pluto square my Venus. 6:13 p.m. No, that's Zeneb. 9:32 p.m. Norfolk. Norfolk, Virginia. No. Norfolk. There we go. See, y'all get to, I bet kids when you were kids, well, I bet when you were kids, you're like, Norfolk, Virginia, you know? So Bree, we have another Leo rising, don't we? So Bree, Leo rising. So you've heard all the stuff about Venus going through your first house. You've heard all the stuff about Jupiter going through your 10th house. You've heard all the stuff about Saturn going through your 8th. Have you heard about Mercury going through your second? So you were born with the second house Saturn and North Node in the second house. You probably grew up either poor or feeling like other people had a lot more than you. Maybe mom and dad said, no, you can't get that new skirt because we can't afford it right now. No, I don't care if Jenny has the new shoes. Her parents have more money than we do. Even if your parents weren't poor, they made you feel like it oftentimes. It feels like the Joneses always have better stuff, you know? But with your North Node there in the second house, life is all about building this up, building up your own stuff, your own little empire, what it is that you have. Because when your South Node is in the 8th house, I wish you could see the chart. Like, this is so frustrating. I got to figure out Streamlabs. But anyway, when your South Node's in the 8th house, it feels like when we're kids, nothing is our own. Everything is held over our heads. We have to be good. We have to be a certain way. We have to fulfill other people's expectations. Sarah Schneider, you should be soon, but you're a Leo rising too. Is it possible to change your partner? Yeah. If you're somewhere on deck, right? Yeah, that's fine. You're next. So we could do your partner. And yeah, you're getting Leo rising. I love Leo risings. The last person who dumped me was a Leo rising. My ex-wife is a Leo rising. 2 other ex-partners are Leo risings. I love Leo. I keep going through them like toilet paper, you know? So anyway, excuse me. We talked about that. What else is going on in your chart? Well, so Saturn, anyway, we talked about Saturn. The big thing is about building up your own little empire, your own sense of stuff, right? Because it probably feels like you've never had your own stuff before, or people have just been taking from you, you know? Your sun is in the 5th house and it rules your 1st house. That's very lovely. You're probably a very childlike person. You're probably very immature, you know? Thank you, Neen. You're so sweet. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You're so sweet. Anyway, oh gosh, you have an exalted Mars though. Exalted Mars, it rules your 9th house and your 4th house. So dad probably was a workaholic or never around. Was dad always working? Or maybe dad was a doctor. I don't know. But probably a workaholic, someone who wasn't around very much, you know? Or sometimes they can have chronic health issues. Like my daughter has her 4th house ruler in the 6th house, and I have 2 chronic illnesses. I have POTS and Ehlers-Danlos. Like, so, you know, that could happen too. What did Amber just tell me? Thank you, Amber. Very cool. So, Saturn going through your 8th house, we already talked about that stuff. We're mostly focusing on your natal chart because the timing has been pretty well taken care of. One thing I will say for the Leo rising people that I don't think I said before was that the eclipse is going to be in your 3rd house. So the subsequent, I've had this before where the eclipse is in my 3rd house, and I had cousins come back into my life, right? That, you know, that I had to help out a little bit with. I wish I could have helped more, but you know, but the 3rd house is extended family, aunts, uncles, cousins, and siblings, right? You may find that siblings are having issues. You may have to help out siblings, or you may have to help out some cousins or uncles or whoever. There could be health or mental health issues, right, that they're dealing with. So just something to be aware of, okay? Mars is going through your 3rd house right now too. God. So this is fights with those same people. It's fights with siblings, fights with uncles, fights with cousins. So there's that too. Just to be aware of all that. They might be a pain in the ass. Oh, I just saw Nikki said, yeah, OMG. That's funny. Oh, hello. Someone called me beautiful. Thank you, Silk. You're so sweet. What else? Jupiter in the first house retrograde. Jupiter rules your 5th and your 8th. So just please be careful, because I do see this sometimes with the 8th house ruler being in the 1st or the 1st house ruler being in the 8th, is I do see people who have a tendency towards self-harm. And so I hope you don't, but if you do, that's okay. And it's something that I struggled with quite a bit. So, doctors have been wonderful for me, I mean, it was something I more struggled with when I was younger, but it's something to be aware of. That, to me, one of the big ways to mitigate self-harm is to see the stuff that you do well, to look at your virtues, to look at the things that you're good at, So I want to leave you with that, because that's really important. There are things you do very well, and you may have doubted yourself growing up, but you're very responsible. You're a caring person, and you have a very big personality, right? I mean, you might be a little, Anyway, let's go on to the next one. I saw someone ask about Lilith's synastry. Lilith is one of the few asteroids that I do look at. Yeah, I have Lilith conjunct my ascendant. So I do look at Lilith in synastry. I just don't think she's good to look at in synastry. I don't think she's a good influence in synastry, to be honest with you. But that's a whole other thing. I mean, Lilith has a lot of similarities to Pluto, at least the way we read her in modern astrology. So then we've got Sarah, Sarah's partner. Sarah partner. And he is a Virgo. A Virgo. Oh my gosh, 923, and the last one was 932. That's so funny. You see, I am dyslexic. I'm so glad I have Amber helping me right now, because I'm dyslexic. And yes, it's a real thing. It is a real thing. When I was a kid, I used to spell damn mad, and stuff like that. So thank God she's helping me. Pandora, Texas. So Sarah's partner. Oops, I just made it way too big. So he's got a Taurus rising. We talked about Taurus rising once. And I always mention the Buddha. It's Hitler was a Taurus. The Buddha was a Taurus. We see people from both sides of the spectrum from all the signs. So don't anyone sit there and denigrate signs in isolation. I make fun of all the signs. I hate all of them equally. I hate everyone equally. It's an equal opportunity hatred. So I treat all garbage the same. But seriously, though, every sign has value and every sign has difficulty. You see, they're all integral parts of the same never-ending story. Never-ending story. Oh, never-ending story. You could tell I'm such an 80s kid. Jim Henson. So you have a 5th house sun like I do, conjunct your 5th house north node, and I have 5th house north node too. It's very cool. Very cool you have that. It's very childlike. The thing that's very strange about us 5th house people, like J.R.R. Tolkien was a 5th house sun too. Someone who made stories for children. Yeah, I mean, adults and stuff read them too, but I started reading Lord of the Rings when I was 12 years old, right? They're children's stories with very, very, very heavy themes, right? Very heavy themes. J.R.R. Tolkien went through World War I. That was unparalleled carnage. We can't even imagine what World War I was like. It was mud everywhere, fucking Gallipoli. If anyone has seen the movie Gallipoli or thought, the landing of Australia, New Zealand. Thank you, Amber. I gotta not get carried off on stories. But anyway, we can't even imagine the unparalleled carnage of World War I. Can you imagine human parts all around you? I mean, I can't. So anyway, think of that sort of terror and loss of innocence and pain, along with the sense of being a child on the inside and the childlike nature. Walt Disney had this, like I said. J.R.R. Tolkien had this, like I said. I have this. We oftentimes have terrible trauma as children, and yet we have this need in this sense to retain our childlike nature. And the thing about the fifth house north node is our destiny is, like Christ said, to be as little children, because that's the way you get into the kingdom of heaven. Kids are fucking assholes, aren't they? I mean, for those of you who have kids, but what are they doing? They're experiencing shit for the first time, aren't they? Right? They're here. They're now. For those of us with a fifth house north node and a fifth house sun, especially a fifth house north node, you're learning to be a kid again. You're learning to be here now, to be discovering things for the first time again. Oftentimes, that's why having children is so important, because it reminds us of what that's like. When I had my daughter, when she was a baby, I remember crawling alongside her. I hadn't looked at dust or little ants or grass in years. And all of a sudden I was crawling alongside her, and I noticed all the little things in nature, the minute organization of matter, the mystery of consciousness. You're here. You're here right now. There's nothing more interesting than that. There's nothing more magical, nothing more mystical, nothing more mysterious than being here now. The fact that you're alive and aware and awake, that's fucking amazing. It's magical. The reason why I'm getting so wild over this is because we don't see it. We take it for granted. So if there's anything you take away from this, it's that fifth house shit. Now, yeah, I mean, you got all that seventh house stuff too, Venus and, oh, you're texting me, Amber, thank you. There is maybe, well, we're not going to get too far. You're going to keep adding people. I can only get so far. Anyway, your first house ruler is in the seventh house. Watch out for codependency. But now we're going to move on. I mean, you have the same sort of thing. You have this hyper independence and a sense of codependence. Watch out for mental illness. I have Saturn conjunct the moon too, and I'm bipolar. I've had a lot of clients with Saturn moon stuff who have, some good mental illness issues. So just be aware of that. And it's in your 12th house. So there's an impulsive side to it. But we're going to go on to the next person, because Justin Bieber. So we did Sarah. Now we're doing Elizabeth. Elizabeth. Star arrow. Elizabeth. Oh, you're the one from Elkhart. Oh, you poor baby. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be judgmental. It's just I had a girlfriend. From Mishawaka. Mishawaka waka. I'm stupid. I'm sorry. March 5th, 1991. 9:33 p.m. Mishawaka. It was a very traumatic relationship. So I'm trying to have fun with it. I mean, I don't know. I'm the queen of traumatic relationships. I mean, what's the common denominator? Me, right? I tried to take responsibility for a lot of that stuff, for the situations I get myself into. Oh my God, you're another fucking Libra rising. Are you kidding me? So we're just going to look at your natal chart. We're not going to talk about timing, because by this time, you should be all timed out. Like, you should have all this timing mapped out, right? You know about Saturn in the sixth? I'm not even going to mention all these because you've watched like 5 other Libra risings, haven't you? So you have Mars in Gemini, like me, the terrible arguer, as we talked about. But who's the ruler of Libra? It's Venus. And just like a couple other people, you have Venus in Aries, where she's not happy. And she's in the 7th house. So you have that same thing that the other folks had, where it's like, you want to connect. You want relationships. You want people. You want connection. But you don't want the bullshit. Like, take that over there. You see, Venus in Aries is very independent. Like I said before, I dated 3 or 4 of them. Well, the 4th one was like, I went on 1 date with them. So, but the other 3, you get to see the sort of hyper independence. Now, in the bedroom, they all seem to like pain. And I love dispensing it. So it's a wonderful symbiosis. What is it, Amber? Let me know. I'm not sure Elizabeth is here. Okay, well then we can move on. But at least it was fun to say like a couple of things, right? So if you're not sure Elizabeth is here. Is Elizabeth here? Is Elizabeth? Would you say that because of aspects, did you say you have Venus square Pluto? No, I have the moon conjunct Pluto. I have the moon conjunct Pluto and Saturn. Oh, wait. Yeah. I have a stellium in the 9th house with moon, Pluto, Saturn, all conjunct. But then Pluto and Saturn are square my ascendant. The moon isn't within orb to be square my ascendant. So, in the bedroom, they like pain. They do. They're what we call pain sluts. I'm a sadist. I like that sort of thing. I like people who love it, because I'm also a Cancer Venus. I love hard. I'm very devoted. I'm very, very devoted. I'm very sweet. I'm very sweet. I'm so sweet, I'll give you diabetes. You check your blood sugar, you check it often. Diabetes. And you go to Liberty Medical. Anyway, you have Pluto conjunct the moon. Oh, wait. We don't want... We're done with Liz. I'm done with Liz. I had an ex-girlfriend. Anyway. Who's next? Esmeralda from Mexico City. My stepmom was from Tijuana. I grew up speaking Spanish, but I didn't speak it for about 10 years, and I suck at it now. But when I used to speak to my stepmom. I used to speak to my stepmom. Mi madrastra. Esmeralda. Whenever I hear the name Esmeralda, I think of Pulp Fiction. Esmeralda Villalobos. Oh my gosh. Esmeralda Villalobos. So, February 22nd, 1981. And I love my Mexican siblings. I mean, they weren't my birth siblings or whatever. By marriage. 9:30. 1981. 6:50 a.m. 6:50 a.m. in Mexico City. We're about to have Mexican independence. What's it? El 16 de septiembre, right? The 16th of September. Mexican independence. That's my alarm to start winding down. Anyway. Mexico City. I sound like such a white girl. I'm sorry. Anyway, you're Aquarius rising too, but literally, is Scorpio capable of passing as a Libra? I mean, I don't know what you mean necessarily. You can have a Scorpio sun and a bunch of shit in Libra, and you can be a total bimbo like me. Well, I don't have anything. My midheaven's in Scorpio, but I'm a Libra moon, and I'm a complete bimbo. So, and I mean that in a good way. So you have Pluto. Well, no, it's 10 degrees away. You know what, though, Esmeralda? I'm going to read this. Is Esmeralda still here? Are you? Are you? Esmeralda Villalobos. Are you still here? Because if not, we'll move on to someone who is here. Because Silk is here. I could do Silk, but Star Arrow is before then. Is Star Arrow still here? Esmeralda Villalobos. Okay, Esmeralda isn't here. Thank you, Amber. You are the best. A Star Arrow is here. So we're going to do Star Arrow. Yay for Star Arrow. You are here. Thank you for being so patient, Star Arrow. I'm sorry. But, But thank you, Star Arrow, for being so patient. Star Arrow. We have December 13, 94. When I was in 1994, I got my first Smashing Pumpkins cassette tape. I remember that. Anaheim, California. 9 a.m. Anaheim, look at you. I mean, I was born in San Diego. So not too far from you. Not too far from you. Yep, we got Star Arrow. Thank you, Amber. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Amber is my new favorite person. And I have to do wonderful things for her because this has been an actually great experience. Even though it's been an awful experience for other reasons because my fucking software didn't work. But it's been a great experience having Amber. That's been wonderful. So, Star Arrow, why have there been so many Scorpio Venuses? I love Scorpio Venus. Everyone thinks Scorpio Venus is creepy, and it is creepy, but that's why I love it. Because they're my creepy. Because I want people to be obsessed with me. Because I'm a Cancer Venus, and I need devotion, right? So, anyway. This is all interesting stuff here. So you're a Capricorn rising. My daughter's a Capricorn rising. I've dated several Capricorn risings. The thing about Capricorn is the sign of initiation. It's that sign in the solar cycle of a year in the northern hemisphere that's at the bottom of the year. It's the coldest and darkest when the sun, right, is the furthest, right? The sun is the darkest in the northern hemisphere. It's Australian summer, but it's our time of death in the northern hemisphere. So that's because Capricorn's ruled by Saturn. Capricorn became associated with death as well. And hence initiation. Because, well, Zeno just said rebirth, but what? But what is initiation, right? St. Paul said, I die daily. He wasn't talking about physical death. He was talking about dying to what he was the previous day. This is about consciousness, right? This is about dying to what we felt ourselves to be. Initiation isn't adding something new. It's taking things away. It's taking away pretense. The story of my mama Inanna about her going into the underworld. I mean, all these myths are very similar, right? Even the Christ myth about having to go into hell, going into the underworld, being stripped of your power, being stripped of your pretense, being stripped of material glory, and left absolutely naked and nothing in order to die and come into a new, it's not even new, it's just a more real experience of yourself. Anyway, whole other thing. But I'm just mentioning that because Capricorn rising needs to hear that. You have this lovely Taurus moon. The moon is exalted in Taurus. I always tell Taurus moons, I'm like, retail therapy is wonderful, but it doesn't cure most major diseases. So, unfortunately. Now, let's look at some timing because we will have to go to someone else. But Mars is going through your 10th house. This is quite difficult, right? Because it's fights with bosses. It makes us we start getting very, what's the word? Like uppity about, we get defensive. We get very defensive during these times, okay? So at work, your boss may say something or someone else may say something and you're like, ah! Right? So it causes conflicts with bosses. Thank you. Wonderful. So it causes conflicts with bosses and sometimes conflicts with coworkers or people that are competing for your same position, right? So there's increased competition. But this is a time when you have to pick your battles and be strategic because you'll want to lash out. You'll want to defend yourself. You'll have a sense of justice, like, I'm right. This is what's right. But it's not necessarily advantageous or strategic to you. You got to think like your Scorpio Venus here and be a little cunning, be a little plotting, right? And remember that revenge is a dish best served cold. Don't go impulsive. Right? You want to plan this sort of stuff out. So this is important to remember. Okay, you may have gotten super, super amped up and idealistic when Mars was going through Virgo in your 9th house. Okay, so now Saturn, you're having your Saturn return too. Why is everyone having their fucking Saturn return right now? I feel old. I feel old. I want to be going through my Saturn return. I wasted all that. I squandered it. So don't you squander it. I got married. At my Saturn. My daughter's the most wonderful person in the world. So I don't regret any of that, of course. But still, I was so stupid. So don't be stupid like me. I mean, I'll say that to you and you're still going to be stupid because that's what we have to do. We have to be stupid. That's the only way we learn is by fucking up, right? So anyway, so that was wonderful. Oh, Venus going through your 8th house. Again, that's helping you take care of debt situations. Or maybe there's a pain or fear that you're getting over. That could be a part of it too. Jupiter going through your 5th house, you're learning to have fun. You need to learn to have fun. Could be luck with your children too. They could have good luck. Time. But you have a lot of wonderful stuff going on. Just enjoy your Saturn return. When you're born with the 3rd house Saturn, oftentimes we have a sense of intellectual inferiority. Like we feel like everyone else is smarter and we can't speak up. Or we can have speech impediments or learning disabilities or stuff like that. But oftentimes it's learning to find our voice. Just like Ariel, right? Ariel had to find her voice again. Right? Anyway, so let's go on to Silk, who's from South Africa. Silk is from South Africa. Sorry. I had friends and neighbors from South Africa. The Cole family. They were involved in diamond stuff. Very nice people. Very nice people. Lovely people. I sound like Trump. Yeah, they were lovely people. Fantastic people. Very nice people. It's Geminis. Geminis all have this tonal inflection. We all sound like bullshitters, you know? I don't mean to. But yeah, I remember I got my wedding ring from them. So funny. So funny. Pretoria. 6:26 a.m. for Silk. 6:26 a.m. 626 acres. Victoria. South Africa. Everything they say sounded very calm and very, it sounded very upper class. It was very like, but slow. It wasn't like English upper class. It was very sort of laid back, South Africa. Sorry. I'm so sorry. C. Pondo. Are you C. Pondo? This is Silk. This is Silk, March 27th, 1996, 626 in Pretoria, South Africa. Do we have C. Pondo on here? And we'll finish up at C. Pondo, because then I have to go to bed. Like I actually have to do. I have to make more videos and shit tomorrow. And I have to go on Chatterbait. I have to go on and exploit myself in front of thirsty men for several hours at a time. Oh, you're Esmeralda? Oh my gosh. Okay. Esmeralda Villalobos. We have Esmeralda Villalobos back. Well, I have your chart up. Sorry, I say Esmeralda Villalobos because that's from Pulp Fiction. So Silk is an Aries rising. We've only had one other Aries rising tonight. And Silk is also having their fucking Saturn return. Now, you might say, well, gee, Frankie, I'm a 28, or gee, Saturn. I'm going to start calling myself Saturn Girl. That's what I've been doing in videos anyway now. But gee, Saturn Girl, I have a 28-degree Saturn. So how am I going through my Saturn return when Saturn's only at 5 degrees or 3 degrees Pisces? Well, because I can... Oh, I broke a nail. I broke a nail. That's not good. I need my nails. Anyway, I'm sorry. So anyway, but you might say, well, gee, it's such a late Saturn, right? But whenever it goes into that sign, you start feeling it. I guarantee you're feeling it. And if you're not paying attention. But a 12th house Saturn return, a 12th house Saturn can be very depressing, I mean, you might have some mental health or depression issues, sense of isolation and all that. Now, Mars is an Aries in the next sign, but they're still technically conjunct, you see? When Saturn is conjunct Mars, and it's your first house ruler, there's often this sense having to work hard for everything. Nothing in life ever comes easy, right? Everything's a struggle. I mean, typically you see people with this having a big sense of self-confidence. Mercury's here too. You're very intelligent, most likely. You're very quick, right? You maybe do have a lot of self-confidence on the outside. I'm on the outside. I'm looking in. I can see through you, see your true color. That's the band Stained from the 90s. But you see what I'm saying, right? There's this hidden malaise, maybe mental illness or depression or self-loathing or whatever going on under the surface that no one sees. No one sees all that, No one sees all that undercurrent. No one sees your iceberg, right? They see the Aries surface where you look like you're fucking together. You've got this. You are the queen or king or whatever you think you are. But no one sees how you don't have it all together under the surface. No one sees the suffering. Nobody knows the trouble I see. Nobody knows the sorrow. Wait, what? Yeah, I'm getting your texts. I am getting your text. I'm sorry. I'm here, Amber, and I see you. Hello? She called me. Anyway. I mean, we talked about a lot of this timing. Jupiter in the second house is great for money. It just feels constricted for the next few months while it's... I have my text open, Amber. I have it here. Yes. Yes, I'm here. I'm here. So, you're Cancer moon. That's so sweet. So This is, like doubly hard too, because you have this powerful surface. You have this really depressing undercurrent, and yet you're so sweet and you're so kind, and you're probably quite sensitive. And at the same time, you may have given your heart away too many times. And it may have been shattered so many times. But learning to love as you get older is going to be an important thing for you and part of your life satisfaction. Now, Mars going through your seventh house can be quite difficult right now. It can mean breakups, you know, but it can also make you really, really want a partner too. So there's that. It can also make us very independent. But typically I see people wanting to get into a relationship. It's quite interesting. You are super independent. You are super independent. It's hard because we do want to connect, and yet we want our freedom and our autonomy. So we'll go to Esmeralda. Did I miss any big stuff that I wanted to mention? Saturn going through the 12th house. We talked about that before, right? Isolation for a while. Jupiter in the second. We did that. We did, Venus in the fifth. This is really good for fun. You got to learn to have fun right now. You got to go out, have sex. That's important, right? Fifth house. Maybe if you do have children, spend time with them. Take them to do fun things. Go to an amusement park or a carnival, or I don't know, something fun for kids. This is important when Venus is going through our fifth house. Venus or Jupiter, doing fun things with our kids. I'm a parent, so I'm always thinking about, like, what can I do with my daughter? A parent with chronic illness. So let's go back to Esmeralda Villalobos. So Esmeralda is an Aquarius rising like me, but her Aquarius rising is at 29 degrees. So if she did Placidus, she'd be like, well, Venus is in my 12th house. Excuse me, I'm getting tired. Venus is in your first house, though, as far as I'm concerned, which makes you very radiant and magnetic. Probably attractive. You see? You're around my age. Can you sing? Are you a singer? Do you like to sing, Esmeralda? Because oftentimes we'll see Venus conjunct Mercury, and either a good radio voice like, hey, this is NBC, WNBC, like the radio voice guy's like, hey, Sunday, Duff Man can't breathe, right? Like that sort of stuff. Or people with a good singing voice who can sing very well. You see? You're welcome, Silky Silk. So anyway, you'll see people with a good singing voice oftentimes. Aquarius rising. Well, that means you have Saturn in your second. See, we have another Mars combust. Excuse me, but yours is in Pisces. So it's a little bit softer than mine. But still, you have an aggressive streak. You may be a little bit impulsive. If people say something to you, right? See, you have Uranus square your sun too. So no one can say shit to you because you're a rebel. If anyone tells you how to do something, you're like, the fuck do you think you are? And you'll do things wrong just to spite that person, probably. You see? But there's a sense of impulsiveness, a sense of aggression. Maybe you lash out at people like I do and have to apologize later. Time to get banned. Y'all are nuts. None of this is real. Oh, thank you, Andrew. Whatever. That's cool. No one cares. You have Pluto conjunct the moon, but widely conjunct the moon. Saturn conjunct. You have this whole sort of fun stellium. Thank you, Ember. It's 10 degrees away, but the thing you still see with Pluto conjunct the moon, I call it mama trauma or the bipolar coaster. So oftentimes we have abusive or domineering mothers, right? We also sometimes have very high highs and low lows. So it's something to be aware of. But you also have Jupiter conjunct your moon, which mitigates some of that stuff. It makes you very honest. It's probably very hard for you to lie. But then you also have Saturn conjunct your moon. It's another indication that mom was probably a very difficult person. And with Chiron in your fourth house, home life as a kid in general was very unstable and probably quite painful. It was probably sometimes scary to be at home, you know? So, anyway, I'm in any other transits I missed. Venus going through your seventh house. Hopefully, if you're not with someone, you meet someone soon. I sure hope I do. I have the same thing going on. But the other thing about that too is if you're already with someone, you could see some of that stuff improve now as Venus has gone direct, right? Maybe it felt like you didn't communicate properly, or maybe it felt like you started thinking about past relationships, or maybe exes did come back into the picture. I don't know. But either way, anyway. What did I miss? What did I miss? What did I miss? What did I miss? Mars. Oh, Mercury now. So again, the debt stuff. You may have racked up some credit card debt. Hopefully now things are getting better with Mercury going retrograde. So anyway, but yeah, everyone's gone now because we closed up shop. Amber, you're the best. Thank you. For those of you who stuck around for so long, I love you and thank you. I really appreciate it. I'm going to start doing this more often again. I took, 2 or 3 months off. I had surgery and some other things that happened, but thank you so much. I love you, and I love you, Amber. This has been very wonderful. So thank you all, and have a wonderful evening. Okay? Mwah.